Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. This week's Midweek Motivation is titled The Sound of Courage. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen the movie The Wizard of Oz. And in the movie, there's one character in there that's going to see the wizard for some courage. He is the Cowardly Lion. Now, throughout the movie, he tries to look fierce and sound fierce, act fierce. He makes some roaring noises, but deep down inside, he's not very courageous at all. In fact, he's cowardly. And so we think about the idea of what does it mean to look or sound courageous? Well, that brings us to this quote. It says, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day that says, 'I will try again tomorrow,'" by Mary Ann Rademacher. Now, a handful of years ago, I was surprised to find out about a species of ducks that was named the Muscovy duck. And what was interesting about that duck is the fact that it doesn't quack. All my life I'd been taught, and I even have taught my children, the idea of the sound of a duck is quack, quack. But the Muscovy duck makes a sound that's more like a pigeon or a high-pitched type of purring noise. And so the idea that the sound of a duck isn't always what you maybe think it should be. And so you presume a little bit of what the sound of what courage is. What about thinking about other sounds of courage? It may not be loud. It may be quiet, in fact. Sometimes it may not even make a sound at all. Courage has a sound that's all its own depending on the situation that it's in. But regardless of the sound that it makes, I like what this quote said, and I'm going to read it again. It says, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the quiet voice at the end of the day that says, 'I will try again tomorrow.'" So the cliche of what looks like a duck and sounds like a duck may be a duck doesn't always hold true. So it goes back to the idea of courage. What looks like courage and what sounds like courage must be courage may not always be true either. What looks like courage may not even sound like courage, but is still very much courage. Joshua is one of my favorite books in the Old Testament, actually throughout the whole Bible. And about 7 times or so in the book of Joshua, it says to either Joshua or the people of God to be courageous. In fact, it says to be strong and courageous. But the idea that it reminds them to be courageous amidst their situation. We are living in uncertain times. This coronavirus that is affecting us right now, we don't know exactly how long it's going to affect us in America. We don't know how long it's going to affect us to be able to not go out, not be social like we're normally used to. There's lots of different changes that are going on, but we know that God is in control. God is the one that is going to take care of this. He knows how long it's going to be. We can try to take care of ourselves, but ultimately the idea of the coronavirus in and of itself and all these uncertain times, God is in control. And we can rest on that. We can be courageous because we know God is in control. And so though the sound may not always be a roar, may not always be loud, the idea that we can be very courageous no matter what we're doing, and we can rely on God and know that He is in control. So, as you think about it, reflect maybe a little bit on the past of your life, whether it's yesterday or sometime between now and the time you were born. I want you to think about, and you can share about this if you want, but think about the idea of what sound has courage made in your life, and what was the situation that was going on at the time that sound was made. Hey, again, thanks for tuning in, and we will be here next week. You guys have a great week, and God bless.